And we're back with the Professional Speakers Radio Show and Nate Hallums. We were talking about smart numbers and your survival pack and the things that go with that. Help us understand a little bit more about what a smart number is. Is it something you go to the grocery store and pick up kind of a thing, or is it a concept that we're referring to? And then what goes into the survival pack, and how does that work in terms of automating somebody's business?
Yeah, well, and just kind of even backing up a little bit more, we were talking about why we're even doing this, right? So what COVID has done is it's accelerated our ADD, I'll call it. And so this moment-to-moment on-demand world that we were living in before has become even more on-demand and even more driven by little bite-sized pieces of data, little bite-sized attention span moments. And so as I'm trying to build my business, and particularly as I'm trying to re-engage with my public as a small business owner, whatever that public is, we hear about and we know probably most about the restaurants, whatever business you're in, about that business. But we hear all of us hear about what's going on with restaurants. So right now, restaurants really can't hire people because we've still got some government money going out to people that are incentivizing them to not be available in the workforce, or they're doing other stuff now. So you've got that piece going on. People don't even know if they're open. Are you open? Are you not open? Do you have curbside stuff? Do you have drive-through stuff? So I don't even know what's going on with you as a restaurant owner, but we all know, we hear it on the news, we see people being shut down and all this, the shutdowns and opening up, all that stuff has to do with, or the impact we see most prevalently in that sort of a storefront situation. So as I look at my grand reopening, and I'll kind of look at the restaurant as an example or a model of that for the rest, whether you own a paint store or anything else. I want to catch every bit of attention I can possibly catch. If you're going to give me attention, I want to catch that attention. If I can get your attention, I want to do that in a way that I can consistently be in front of you. So the smart number, excuse me, it's really part of an application that you would have as maybe part of a larger package, but that's just a number. I'll call it a virtual number, so to speak. So someone calls that number, and there's a lot of intelligence that's assigned to that number. So if you called me because you clicked through on my website, if you called me because you got a message from me, or there's a coupon code, any number of different things, I'd like to know where you called from. I'm not going to treat you any differently, but I just want to know where you called from. So
the ones that come from Bing, they're not. They're going to be 2-minute delay over the ones from Google.
Yeah. So I want to know that, and if I happen to miss your call, and the odds are pretty decent that I'm going to miss your call if I'm a small business owner, particularly these days, then I want to know that you called in, and I want to send you a message back. And what's interesting, we mentioned before how many calls are missed. So let's say half the calls are missed by a small business. What's even more interesting to me for us, and I don't know if this is just an American statistic, but that's where, looking at what Google's telling us, is that 70 to 80% of people a lot of times would prefer a text message or something that's not a personal interaction.
It's a generational thing by far. But yeah, absolutely. And the other point that really validates what you're talking about is HubSpot keeps doing their annual reports on what trends are and stuff like this. And consistently, they've been showing that 40 to 70% of sales go to the first place someone calls. If that call is answered in the first place,
or at least responded to. Yeah. And we'll get to some other stuff here in a minute, but that phone call was probably generated off of a mobile app that was delivered to you by Google. So again, Google's in the room with us. So to continue on our survival kit, and I'll call it the grand reopening kit. So you have a smart number, a missed call text back. You've got some sort of a web chat or text messaging. Ideally, you have one on your site, your website, assuming you have a website. So that's maybe another kind of, at least have a landing page. You have one page that shows the company, shows the public who you are, but maybe even have a more robust website. And on that site, you have some sort of a chat mechanism. It doesn't have to be that smart. There are all kinds of layers of this that you can do, but at least something that would respond to someone, capture their information, or at least hand them off to you, to a live person. I would say, in some way, if you haven't already, develop a customer relationship management system, a CRM.
Before we get into that part, I want to go back to the
Uh-huh.
website one, because
Okay.
I was apprised of a really odd statistic last year as COVID hit that shook me,
Mhm.
because it tells a really odd story of how technology has not done its job
Right.
in the last 30 years. Right, the internet became a publicly commercial place in the early 90s.
Uh-huh.
Really took off 96, 97, but I'm coding 93, 94, 95.
Sure.
So in that window, the website world really took off.
Mm-hmm.
It's now 2021, and the stat that really blew my mind came out and was revised, I guess, in 2020, is that 4 out of 5 businesses do not have a website.
Wow.
4 out of 5.
Wow. So here's the next level of that. So the one that does have the website, I'll have to get the numbers on this for you. Next time we talk, I'll have them for you. But a number of them. So again, so Google's in the room with us, right?
Yeah.
And there's they've actually have a name for something, like we used to make copies and then we made Xeroxes.
Exactly. Yes. Now we have Alexas. Yeah.
Right. So now I search for a business, I Google the business, and there's actually a thing called Google My Business, and Google has a whole thing around that.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have not, I have to again get the statistics for you, but they have not claimed their business. Now Google will go out and find your business and you'll be on Google. But unless you claim your Google My Business listing, then you are less likely to be found, because Google wants to know, again, trust. Do we know who you are? And are you telling us in a clear and consistent manner that that's who you are? So that alone, just the Google My Business piece, even if you didn't have a website, would be miles and miles ahead of what most businesses are, is if you optimized your presence using the Google My Business platform. Yeah. So it's pretty amazing what isn't out there, but the people that are trying, and so that's kind of back to, and then maybe that's a piece of our kit that I'll need to add, is the Google My Business. At least claim your business and optimize your listing. So we've talked about a smart number, a missed call text back, a web chat system on your website if you have one. If you don't, there needs to be some sort of presence for your company. Let's call it a landing page where you can capture information and provide information to customers that are looking for you. So once you get those customers, or maybe you have existing customers, get all of those into a system that you can email from, that you can text from, that you can call from. That's a customer relationship management system that new information and new people come into. So you were going to say something?
Well, actually, going back to the chatbot thing, because I have mad respect for companies that are able to get a good chatbot going. Because I have worked in mega companies where we have done it, and we had 3 developers, 2 designers, 4 copywriters, and we were writing a crap ton of content for the chatbot and revising it and testing it and all that kind of stuff that went with it. I've also been there with the solopreneurs trying to build it for them. And you'll notice I'm considerably more bald than I used to be. And my blood pressure climbs at even the thought of coding yet another entertaining chatbot. Not because I don't think there's a value to them, but because they're so easy to screw up.
Yeah.
And I've been on the recipient end of it, and I ask the question, and it gives me the same non-answer. And
Bob's not here.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't ask for Bob. But my daughter's just over there, and I forget what I was asking about. I asked some computer about something yesterday, and the answer came back, and it was so insulting, so insultingly wrong that I literally blew a gasket. Just chatbots are the devil and the angel at the same
Right.
time.
All in one.
So
Yep.
if you've got a way of mastering that, I
Yeah.
promise you, people need to talk to you about that, because
Yes.
the
Yeah.
coding on that is enough to make my skin crawl.
Well, at the simplest level, you at least want to say, "We know you're here." You
Yes.
know, and at the simplest level, we know you're here, and ask any question you'd like, and I know where people are, and the bot will go get the people. So that's at the simplest level, but at least have that presence. You know, if you want to get to the next level, and actually we were talking about automation, and you want to be able to not only communicate with them there, but they like to communicate on Facebook. They like to communicate on Instagram. They like to communicate on Twitter. We've got those sort of assets as well to put in place, or systems that can communicate with the customer wherever they want to communicate, and it's all seamless to the customer. They'll just take them to the platform, the bot will, and have that conversation and be able to answer a lot of questions. And again, remember, we said 70 to 80% of the people that are communicating want to just get the information. They don't necessarily need to have a personal engagement. They don't need to talk about the weather.
And there is a real suspicion that when someone picks up the phone, they're going to try to sell you something.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people, they just want the information. They want to decide whether they're ready to buy or not
Sure.
engage the sales conversation yet.
Right. And so when you are ready to do whatever you're going to do, buy the pizza, do whatever you're going to do, now I want to be able to, I tried to come up with an acronym, but I'm not very good at it. So the four tenets of the client relationship are to engage, to acquire, to retain, and then to cultivate. So ERC is the best acronym. I'll work on that one. But so engage, acquire, retain, and cultivate. So let's go to the very end of that. So let's say I've done all those things. I got all that information. I'm able to, I know when your birthday is, I know when your anniversary is. We're communicating on a regular basis. You're happy with my services. I need to reward you for being happy with my services and continuing to come and talk to me or use my services, and give you a free meal or give you a discount off your paint or whatever it's going to be with my service. If I'm a HVAC contractor, give you a free service call because you've been a good customer to me. I want to be able to communicate back to you that value and appreciation. And if I can do that in an automated fashion, that's all part of my, I'll call it the survival grand reopening kit. And if I just have those items, I'm way ahead of maybe even where I was before. And I'm able to now actually build a business. And believe it or not, having that information on your customers allows you not only to give yourself a promotion, we talked about that.
Yeah.
I want to give my clients, to have them give themselves a promotion, be the CEO of their business, making those sort of decisions. But it also gives me information. If I have the right systems, I know my return on investment. I have this value of that customer. And if I happen to want to sell and retire at some point, that value goes with my business and I can communicate it. So
And
my
there's a whole
restaurant
bunch of
becomes
that
more
retention
valuable.
side that is so important. I'm going to talk a little bit about that in particular when we get back from our next break. But yeah, that the not just the customer retention, but the value retention is something that entrepreneurs, myself included, have really dropped the ball on for years now. But we're going to go do one more commercial break. And when we get back, that whole customer retention and lifetime value, it's coming right up. Thanks for listening to the Professional Speakers Radio Show with Chris Kerr.